I call the regular meeting for the Milliken Board of Trustees for March 11th, 2026 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Nix.
Here.
Trustee Orcutt.
Here.
Trustee Roseberry.
Here.
Trustee Wakeman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, we have a couple of adjustments to our agenda. Will I have somebody make the motion with the adjustments? Don't all run at once.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to remove action item A and to substitute the letter from March 11th that was given to us tonight for B.
Under action
Yeah.
10.
Yes.
A second.
Now, clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Orcutt.
Yes.
Trustee Roseberry.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Nix.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Austin. Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Yes.
That's a throwback.
Sorry, I demoted you. Now Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, do we have any citizens tonight that would like to address the board? Okay, we'll skip over that part. Do we have any changes to the meeting minutes of February 25th, 2026? If not, I'll take a motion.
A motion to approve the minutes as is.
Second.
February 25th, 2026.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Roseberry.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Nix.
Yes.
Trustee Orcutt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next up is the town administrator's report. Administrator Powell, how are things going?
Things are going. Thank you, Mayor and trustees. So just a few items that the staff has been working on and working towards. John Ravis and I will be having our annual meeting with our XL representative on Monday. So we met with them last year for the first time, which is very helpful because he was able to assist us with a few things regarding County Road 23 3/4 about getting the lighting up. So it's good to have a person to be able to reach out to. Don Stonebrink, Forrest Leaf and I will be meeting with Randy Rowe with Central Colorado Water Conservancy District. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but Randy has had to change that time, so it looks like it may be Monday the 23rd that we will be meeting. But this discussion is about water storage. The Streets Department has completed work on cleaning out the Sunfield drainage ditch. They will finish cleaning out the drainage ditch that feeds Earl Lake within the next little bit before water starts running. The Parks Department has been sanding and painting the benches that are in the gazebos. They're also digging up a gate valve just south of the skate park and needs to be moved to the south before the new sidewalk is installed there. Keith met with Christy this afternoon about the bench that the town will be installing at the new library. So we've got a bench. They like the bench, and so now we just need to find out where exactly they want it placed. Tomorrow, Tammy and Keith are meeting with elementary teachers about Arbor Day. As 4th, 3rd grade year from the Colorado State Division, Woody the Owl to come speak to children. This year, the town will be celebrating Arbor Day on Friday. PLH, the town's contracted company, is 99% on Inez and Ira Green's improvement. Now what they're doing is just on the great Town Hall's network commence. Network services will be relocated to a new server rack. All that new internet cabling will be active. It will be a Nickel, students in attendance for the month of February. The adult children of all had people in attendance in January. Use for position will be there is and even here election day.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question, Mayor. You mentioned the Arbor Day event. What time and where?
Keith? What time is the Arbor Day?
We have Lola Park. We said 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's going to dress them up.
Yeah. Fun. What I do want to find out is I told you the last meeting, Crystal May and I have been working on both the job announcements, the job description. We want to review them and please provide me with any feedback. There's plenty of, I think I need to tell you.
Thank you for your update. Like everybody's been very, very busy. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have two items: adoption of resolution 2026 for the donation to the after prom party at Roosevelt High School, and resolution 2026-11 sponsoring the Johnstown Milliken Rotary Club Teen Impact Awards. Both of those items have been budgeted, and we had presentations last board. I'll take a motion on the matter.
Did we discuss?
They are individual line items.
I just didn't remember.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Town clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Wakeman. Trustee Nick. Trustee Orcutt.
Yes.
Trustee Rosemary.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Next, we have our public hearings. The first item is a public hearing to consider resolution number 2026-14, resolution approving Milliken Store and Go conditional use permit. Presenting will be Kevin Koval from our Community Development Director. The time is 6:50, and I'm opening the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you mentioned, this is a conditional use permit application for a use of a self-service storage facility known as Milliken Store and Go. This property is located generally at the southwest corner of County Road 23 3/4 and Center Drive, just north of Highway 60. Just a quick overview. Conditional use permit is generally a little bit more of an extensive review on a use just because it might be a little bit higher intensity than other uses that are generally within that zoning district. And in the C4 zoning district, which this property lies within the service business district, the use of a self-service storage facility is a conditional use. Due to its location adjacent to Highway 60 and other industrial uses along Center Drive, staff is actually not requiring any additional conditions be put on the property and the use. Typically, those conditions would be, buffering, screening, lighting, things like that. But due to its nature within that industrial area and more of an industrial use, which is very compatible with the adjacent land uses, that's where staff is not recommending any conditions at this time. So this is different than the next item, so I'm just going to kind of focus on the conditional use permit. So this conditional use permit did get submitted and reviewed by staff and referral agencies. Staff did find it in compliance with Section 16.6.360 of the Land Use Code, which does talk about conditional use applications and the criteria for approval on it. This item did go before the Planning Commission at their meeting on March 4th, a week ago, and Planning Commission did recommend approval unanimously. We do have the applicant, Ripley Design, represented by Abdul Barzak here, and the owner, John Hall. If you do have any questions of them or me at this time, just on the use itself, not the site plan. I just want to make that clear that this is the use itself, not anything specific on the site plan.
Okay, questions from the board, starting with Trustee Urquhart.
No questions.
Trustee Nix? No. Trustee Roseberry?
No question.
Trustee Wakeman?
Right.
Yep.
I did see, as part of it, actually, it was considered
That would be a next item, but I can address it. There was concerns from water wastewater with taking on RV dump from that standpoint. I don't know if Don wants to chime in a little bit more on it, but it's basically the unknown of what would be being received at an RV dump. So with that concerns, the applicant had decided to remove that use from being a part of the self-storage.
we've discussed before, but
There's quite a few different challenges with it. I mean, how you monitor it, how the permits work for the wastewater plant. If it's, when we discussed it before, it was part of the plant. Then there's monitoring the financial part of it. How do you pay for it? How do you test for it? I mean, we don't have the facility set up for it. There's also it's called slug loads of unknown chemical that's coming in from an RV, a storage facility site like that. Is we don't know what somebody's putting down there that's coming to us, like leaving a manhole open. We don't know if somebody's dumping something in there. We just had concerns about what could be coming in and how was it monitored, and they just opted to remove it. Yeah. I've looked into it, and we can address it at a work session.
I did just wonder then too, how much conversation, pretty well known that
Are you saying the intersection of 60 and 23 3/4? I would turn that over to John to see with that, with a low usage, such as a self-storage like this, it's not going to give the trip generation, as you'd mentioned, that would then trigger improvements to 60 and 23 3/4, just because, this isn't a high intense use that would, be generating the improvements by this property owner to that. There is still one more property adjacent to this and 23 3/4 that, depending on what use ends up going in there, there could be some improvements that would then be needed based off of a total trip generation, with a traffic compliance or something like that we could then look at. But something like this wouldn't necessarily trigger some larger improvements like that at that intersection. Yep.
assume it's outside of our, a right-only turn or. Sounds like it.
Yep.
Coming out of that intersection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and typically probably one use like this, or even the use adjacent to this to the east with the vacant property, whenever something that comes in like that, probably wouldn't trigger much to it. It would probably be more of a majority of the development that would occur north of Highway 60 around 23 3/4 and Center Drive that would then trigger some improvements out there. Unless this was a highly trafficked, like a gas station or, something like that, which, you're going to get hundreds of trips, or thousands of trips a day, at that point wouldn't necessarily trigger larger improvements to 60, but it's something that we can definitely look at and, talk with John as we go into the future about some improvements out there.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean, any questions?
No questions.
Just to follow up on that, Cheryl and I had a recent conversation about bringing to the board another warrant study in either late August, early September, when school starts back in session at Civica, and depending on what activities PR has. This would be our third warrant study, and we think that we need to come back to the board in the future and discuss having that occur now that we're having even a little bit more development. So that will be a future.
Yeah, so I had the conversation also with, and during soccer season, when, especially in the spring or fall.
Thank you. I have no other questions at this time. Is there any public comment on the presentation? So time is 6:59. I'll close the public hearing. And if there's no further questions from the board, I'll take a motion on the matter. Please call for a vote.
Trustee Nick.
Yes.
Trustee Orcutt.
Yes.
Trustee Roseberry.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public hearing to consider the Milliken Store and Go site plan. Presenting is Kevin Coble, Community Development Director. Time is 7 o'clock, as my alarm just indicated. And I'm opening the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. So now this is the site plan for that use of a self-storage known as Milliken Store and Go. So this site plan proposal is for a fully enclosed self-storage facility that will comprise of 7 buildings totaling roughly 52,000 square feet of indoor commercial storage space. There is no proposal for outdoor storage. It'll all be contained in the buildings. This facility will offer a variety of unit sizes, including enclosed units designed to accommodate that RV storage. This will be a 24-hour, fully automated, no staff, gated facility. So it's a little bit more of the newer types of facilities that's out there. This site plan does include approximately 49,000 square feet of landscaped area, which is primarily rock or mulch beds with tree and shrub plantings. I did want to note that this application was submitted prior to the adoption of Ordinance 831, which was our non-turf, non-irrigated turf ordinance, which prohibited that for commercial and industrial applications. And even though this project does not have any turf grass, it still complies with that ordinance because what they are proposing is for a native seed area on the north side of the property adjacent to Center Drive, and then the south side adjacent to 60. And that, with that being native seed, it's only irrigation will be used for establishment of the seed to then grow. So it is not one of those non-functional turf grasses from that standpoint, like a Bermuda or Kentucky bluegrass. From that standpoint. So I did want to make that known as part of this application. They are still in compliance with that. And then based on our parking standard of 1 space per 5,000 square feet of building area, this project would require 11 parking spaces. And they are providing 10 with 1 ADA accessible space, meeting that requirement. And then just as an anecdote to that, there are 5 of these spaces, including the ADA, that are outside of the secured storage area. So if there is somebody that's dropping off, a car real quick while they're doing a U-Haul in and out, they have that ability to not be locked in or locked out from their car at that standpoint. One thing that is of note, which is also captured in the draft site plan development agreement that's in your packet as well. Section 16.3.235 of the Land Use Code does require sidewalks along street frontages of development. Currently, Center Drive does not have any sidewalks on the north or south side of the street at this point. So putting in a sidewalk was just on the frontage of this is kind of a sidewalk to nowhere from that standpoint. So working with the applicant, staff has agreed to defer the sidewalk construction until if and when Center Drive improvements are completed, which would then put sidewalk on the north and south side, to which the applicant property owner would then do a cost sharing with that for their portion from that standpoint. So it's just more of a deferment of that improvement to a future date instead of now, which would then virtually get no use and go to nowhere from that standpoint. So that is one thing that as part of the site plan agreement that the applicant would do at that future time. So staff has once again reviewed this along with referral agencies and find it in compliance with section 16.6.370 of the Land Use Code, which is review criteria for site plans. I'll note again, the one criteria is that the site plan conforms with Division 4 of the chapter. So I go back to that it is not fully in compliance with that sidewalk criteria, but we are capturing it at that future date. This site plan did go before the Planning Commission at their March 4th meeting, and they recommended approval unanimously of this as well. With that, I'll turn it over to Abdul with Ripley for presentation from the applicant.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor and Board. It's good to see you all again. My name is Abdul Barzak. I'm with Ripley Design. We are the land planners on the project. Tonight, speaking on behalf of the applicant, Lot Holding Investments, LLC. Town staff did such a good job. I'll be quick tonight, or I'll try to be quick. I'll give some color and then answer some questions, but let's jump right in. I always like to give, there we go, some background information. I know that you folks are familiar with that site, but the site is located just off of Highway 60, west of Weld County Road 23 3/4, south of Center. Power Motive, if you're familiar, is just on the right-hand side, far left of the screen there. I am a history major originally, so I always like to give some project history, so bear with me on that one. As the town staff mentioned, and also including your packet, this application is joined by an administrative replat. So we've worked very closely with town staff to make sure that administrative replat is in its final form. So I'll jump through these next slides pretty quickly, but let me know if you have any questions. What you're looking at there is the original plat from the year 2000. That Frontier Commercial Center basically designated the lots on the south side of Ash Street, which is across from your Public Works facility today in that top right corner. After that, the town did approve a replat A in 2003, which set the lots along Center Drive. There was a replat B and then a replat C. All those essentially were cleanup to allow for development, which kind of brings us to where we are today in the Milliken Store and Go project. As mentioned, we worked with town staff on that administrative replat, which will be known as replat D. Again, happy to answer any questions there. I did prepare some slides for the conditional use permit, but town staff handled that application there, so we'll skip these, save us some time. You guys know that the conditional use permit is what allows the self-service storage facility to be viewed today as the site plan on that C4 district. Which brings us to the kind of main reason we're here today, which is that Milliken Store and Go site plan, which is there. I like to jump to the nicer one. It's a little bit easier to look at for sure, I think, for the Milliken Store and Go. So tonight we are seeking your approval of a site plan for development of a self-service storage facility located on the southwest corner of Center Drive and 23 3/4 to be known as Milliken Store and Go. What we're providing is an indoor, fully enclosed storage facility. There's just over 52,000 square feet of indoor storage space. As town staff mentioned, we are not proposing nor are we permitting outdoor storage of any kind on this property. What we are providing is a mix of storage units, from smaller storage units for personal things, as well as those larger units that can fit RVs and recreational vehicles, hopefully to meet the needs of anybody in the town of Milliken and the community. One thing we'd like to kind of bring your attention to and highlight is we work very closely with town staff on the south side there to plant and provide an attractive and intentional plantings for a landscape buffer to not only meet code, but provide something a little bit more. We do see that and understand that area as folks are coming into the town of Milliken. So what you're seeing there is a mixture of ornamental trees and canopy trees. There's Rocky Mountain junipers in there, Japanese lilacs, some lindens. There's a variety of shrubs that are against those buildings there to really help anchor what we see as that gateway to the town of Milliken. It's a little bit hard to see, but between the rows of the trees, you can see that fence line through there. That's another thing we worked on with town staff to make sure that there is a decorative architectural column fence. I actually like jumping to this slide there because in that bottom right, you can see that detail. So what you're looking at is a cedar decorative fence with those architectural columns. Those columns are then planted every 50 feet, which is in line with your code section 16.3.390. So again, kind of really bringing that kind of anchor there on that corner. On this slide, we also like to bring your attention to buildings 1 through 5, which is on the left-hand side or highlighted in blue. Those are the smaller, maybe more appropriately shorter units there. Those are for personal storage options and configurations, while the buildings on the right, which are 6 and 7, shown in red, are those larger, fully enclosed recreational vehicle storage there. The buildings themselves are proposed as durable metal structures. It's a little bit difficult to see on this rendering there, but the bottom portion, which is that darker, is a really cool kind of newer material. It is a burnt wood printed metal wainscoting. So it's metal, but it's printed wainscoting with burnt wood. It's then complemented with the, gunmetal and charcoal gray roofs for a really attractive modern building. Town staff mentioned this was the main thing we're also excited about. It's a fully automated, state-of-the-art facility. There's no on-site staff there. Tenants get secure, keyless access to their units with automatic gates. New folks can sign up online and get kind of immediate access to their units for a really flexible and seamless process. With that being said, security is a big priority for this project for us as well. We've worked with town staff as well as Front Range Fire to make sure that, automatic gates are there with Knox boxes. It meets kind of turning radius requirements. There's fire hydrants throughout there. We've planned 24/7 surveillance. There's those controlled gates that we mentioned before, as well as a lighting plan that really kind of enhances security, but also doesn't spill into the neighboring properties. That photometric plan or that lighting plan is included in your packet too. I said I'd be quick. I joke with Planning Commission that my mom would say, Abdul, let others talk. So with that, I will kind of stop here. Again, we want to thank town staff for their continued coordination and communication, and then you folks as well for allowing us to be here. With that, we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Just the board, starting with Trustee Wakeman.
I did have some more questions about that. More clarification, I guess, on that sidewalk situation. Obviously, I generally don't need a sidewalk.
Yep.
But when it does. In terms of who's responsible for that cost, it just feels like.
Yeah, so that's within the site plan site plan development agreement. So they are responsible for their frontage. So it'll be a coordinated effort with the property owner at that time. Most likely what will happen is if and when Center Drive gets improved to have all that, we will work with that property owner because they will most likely want to utilize town's contractor for that work, just for some cost saving efforts. Just because getting a second group out there to mobilize, and you've got conflicting crews and things like that. More of it will be a future as to what exactly that looks like from cost sharing and who's doing what. But that's where it'll most likely, like I mentioned, most likely be town doing it with the property owner paying for their share of their frontage of that improvement for the sidewalk alone. I will put it that way. From that standpoint, because that is what the requirement would be, is the sidewalk. There's not right now a requirement to improve the street that's out there, since it is already an improved street. So it would just be for that. There is a note within the site plan as well that any landscaping that is within where the sidewalk would go is at the property owner's responsibility for replacement. From that standpoint, because it is encroaching with where that sidewalk would go. So there is that, as well as that any landscaping that's impacted, it's their responsibility as foregoing the sidewalk to replace as well. So yeah, it's more the actual defined mechanism will be at a future date when that improvement would happen, but it's just the agreement is that they will have either they will install it or they will cost share with the town when that improvement's done in the future.
Yeah, I think mostly.
Yep.
Where the cost.
Yeah, it's at that point, it'll be up to the property owner on what they want to do. If they want to get their own crew in there, by all means, that's fine. But if they want to utilize the contractor that we would have for doing Center Drive for some cost savings, that's also a benefit as well.
Trustee Roseberry?
In the future on the sidewalk, if the applicant wants to over square curbing, provisions that allow them to do that, especially because the orange rollover curve seems more appropriate than.
I think it would come down to what we do with Center Drive, and that would be part of that negotiation with the applicant, property owner at that time. It'll be actually a conversation with all the property owners over there, especially with, now it's blanking me, the ones on the west. Power Motor, thank you. Power Motor, with them, with the group to the north, it'll be a conversation with everyone out there as to what that would all look like with those improvements.
Need to make them do square when rollover curve and whatnot,
Yep. A lot of that will, yeah, a lot of that will come with future improvements right now, but they do have it designed for their entrance right now. But any improvements in the future would be a conversation as to what our criteria is. If it's 8 years from now, we might have different design criteria for curb gutter and rollover curb, D curb, or whatever we want to go with.
Trustee Nick?
What size RVs is it going to hold?
hopefully anything in there. So it's designed to hold anything from your Class A down to your Class C. Those larger buildings are purposely set to be able to hold the industry standard. I believe they're at 60 feet right now, so you'll be able to get a bigger RV in there if needed. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Trustee Orcutt?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean?
I have a question for Attorney Gold. In relation to sidewalks, I looked at the section 2.6 in the agreement. Are you comfortable with that with regard to enforceability for required sidewalks at future
Yes.
date?
Yes,
Thank you.
this will be a recorded agreement, and therefore it would be binding on successors. And
Okay.
that's basically the way it's tailored. So yes, we did look at that language.
Thank you.
You bet.
My question with, as we add more hard surface out there in that area, you know, sometimes we actually get snow this year, but some years. And then with rain is the storm drainage. So storm drainage does not exist south.
Not on the south side. So basically the intent, and I can have John correct me, was Center Drive was intended to drain to a detention pond on the north side of Center Drive behind what was the concrete group. Now it's a excavation group. There's a detention pond up there. That's where Center Drive was intended to drain to. So as part of this site plan process, we did have the applicant do an analysis of that detention pond to ensure that this much impervious, that pond was sized adequately for that, which the analysis came back and John and Brian, our town engineer, agreed that there is the capacity for this and it's sized appropriately for the additional impervious area.
Hi, John. How you doing? Good. I have a little question for you. With the way the buildings are lined up, a little concerned that they'll be blocking the sun for the snow melt. What's your snow plan for that area?
Well, as far as the runoff goes, the runoff will be captured in a swell. Mm-hmm. And the flow will go from the east side of the property to the west side of the property, and crossing the entrance, it'll be piped into RCP pipe. Then it'll come out from there, continue in a swell. Then it'll discharge into an existing inlet, which will in turn take it to the detention pond.
Thank you. Answers my concerns. Any final questions from the board? Yes.
I guess I would hope I'm sorry. The RV dump and fill, it's a huge aspect of this type of operation. I would hope it could be revisited. I just feel like it's a shame for us to miss out on an opportunity of commercial space that's going to have very low call for sewer use. But it feels like a great offset to provide the service within town. It's a big challenge when you're RV or trailer user. And I guess I don't, obviously we need to have further conversation, but it just feels like you don't have any more or less than you do over how people use their. So I understand you have some concerns and definitely pushed. It sounds ridiculous.
Sure.
Shame to let the opportunity.
Yeah. I think that's a great comment. We work very closely with town staff and understand where that concern is, but town staff has been forward thinking to allow essentially the stubs to be in place. That way it's not completely off the table in the future. If that's something that we can work with town staff on to allow that to come through, that'll come back in front of your desk to be able to revisit that to allow there. Another thing, of course, consideration is understanding the water requirement. I think, a dump station's great, but you also need a fill station. You need to make sure that you're providing, is that going to be non-potable? Is that going to be potable? So there's some questions right now that we think, deserve some attention and to allow ourselves and town staff to work with. But to your point, it's not off the table. we are making sure that the stubs are put there. It's appropriate sized and spaced. That way, if in the future we're saying, hey, yeah, it's making sense, we've been able to have the conversations with you folks to allow that to be there. It's something that could be installed. Again, we'd have to go through the process with you folks to get it there. But to your point, yeah, it is something that's definitely on the table. I think town staff did a good job to be forward thinking to say, hey, let's pump the brakes, but not cancel it altogether. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from the public? Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. I'm sorry, what?
Hi, good evening, board. My name is Derek Lucero. We live on 14 South Lotus Drive in the Sunfield community. My question is, you mentioned the deferment and there was coordination with fire access and turnaround, but what does it look like in terms of public egress to the nearest point? What would exit if there's no?
Yeah, I can show you. If you want to stand here with me too. What I'll do, folks, is bring up and bear with me. So on the north side, in the middle of the site, is their main vehicle entrance. So that's where people can come in. As you go further west where that turnaround is, or that cul-de-sac, that's where that gated emergency access is. So if there's ever an emergency, folks have two kind of options to go in through there. Public access will be essentially limited to that main vehicular gate on the center. However, we did work with Front Range Fire to make sure that all the turning races work in there. Again, as you're getting RVs down in there, we need to make sure that those movements are there. So public access will be through that kind of main gate. The entire thing, which you can't see there, is the entire community is essentially gated to just allow for security. But we've worked with town staff to make sure that all of your means of access and egress are approved and kind of to ADA when they're there. To Mr. Cobal's point, when that sidewalk is installed with the kind of larger capital improvement project, I think that's something we've gained spacing, the geometry's there to just allow that sidewalk to be put in so you're not necessarily missing anything. Does that kind of answer that question?
Yes, sir, partially. Mine was more, since you have ADA parking there, if somebody had an emergency or that there was a fire in building 3, the public egress access to a point is typically some part of an easement or right of way that's within the city. If there's no sidewalk improvements there, where would that designated area be to comply with not only ADA but local codes and building regulations? So that's it. Is it just the grass next to the driveway? I understand that we can access with fire and trucks for the building structures, but if somebody needed to exit the property safely, where would their muster point, if you will?
Yeah, sure. No. Yeah, I think that's a very good question. One of the things with those automatic gates, which is really nice, is they have those emergency features. The gates will have to be reviewed against your code, the International Fire Code, and IBC. But to your point, yeah, I think that there's not necessarily a muster point that's kind of designated on the site. One thing is part of the application process is there will be some of that information in there of how users understand the emergency access and how to use it and how to be able to call 911, and Front Range Fire also has access to all those things. So there's not necessarily a designated point, which is not necessarily required on a project like this from the code. But to your point, I think there's 2 accesses there that will both have the emergency capability to let folks either in or out and be able to get to safety from that point. Yeah, of course.
I have a secondary question is, if my memory serves correctly, isn't there a town, Welcome to Rough Rider Country, located in the same vicinity? And if it is, what is the plan to have that relocated, or is it going to stay in the footprint of the south landscape area along Highway 60?
We're dancing, sorry. Yeah, that sign is actually located closer to the intersection of 23 3/4 and Highway 60, so we're not going to touch it with this one. It's going to stay there. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other public comment, questions? The time is, crap, neither eye works. The time is 7:24 and I'm closing the public hearing. If there's no further comment, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move, man, I can't talk. We're a good crew tonight. I move to approve the Milliken Store and Go site plan.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Orcutt?
Yes.
Trustee Roseberry?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Nix?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay, item 10A was removed from the agenda, so we're going to item 10B. So this is the letter from the Altamira Metropolitan District Number 5. Presenting will be Town Attorney Matthew Gould.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. This letter was presented to the town today. It is a proposal for an agreement with the town for addressing concerns with the Altamira Metro District's proposal to include Milliken property within the boundaries of that district. I have a motion. I apologize for not including a motion in the board memo because it was put together kind of hastily, but I do have a motion if, and this was discussed pretty thoroughly at the work session, so I do have a motion. If there's somebody that wants to make a motion, I can give them. And I'm happy to address any questions. I know that was very summary.
Questions from the board, starting with Trustee Wakeman?
Just to confirm it from our conversation from the work session, we feel confident that this letter holds them accountable to their work.
Yes. Yes, and with an assurance, with a personal guarantee of some money in support of their complying with these terms.
Trustee Roseberry?
No question.
Trustee Nix?
No questions.
Trustee Orcutt?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean?
No questions.
I have no questions. It was covered pretty thoroughly. So could you hand over the
Yes.
motion? And we'll just work it. Whoever wants to make the motion, just grab the letter.
I read my handwriting, so I'm an expert.
It's hieroglyphics.
I move to accept and approve the proposed letter agreement from Altamira Metro District Number 5, dated March 11th, 2026, and the accompanying personal guarantee.
I second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Nix.
Yes.
Trustee Orcutt.
Yes.
Trustee Roseberry.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Just as a related matter, I don't know if the board wants to discuss setting a special meeting for next week. That could also be done offline.
Let's do that offline.
Okay,
I think we're
thank
all
you.
a little bit confused tonight. It's a bit much. Do I have any board reports tonight? Board Range doing anything special?
Nope.
Okay, just making sure. All right, if there's no further business to come before the board, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're out. Thank you.